Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Soul Centered CEO Show. I am so excited to be back this week with you all and also to welcome my very special guest, Allison Braun. Welcome, Allison. I'm so excited to have
Hello.
you.
I am very excited to be here.
Yeah, I know that we've tried to schedule this for a little while, but it feels like the timing, of course, is always perfect. And so I'm just thrilled to be able to have this conversation because I think, first of all, it's a very important one to have in terms of just what you're creating and the work that you're doing in the world, and also just building momentum around being excited and creating momentum in our business and our life. So I'm excited to have you here today. I know that there's a lot of exciting things that you're creating, so I want to just dive right in. One of the things I always like to talk about is really how you've gotten to where you are, right? Obviously, you're part of our Soul Centered CEO collective. This is what you embody in your business and your life, truly soul-centered, creating from that place that is in such alignment. And it feels always, at least to me, with ease and grace. And I think that's a beautiful way to do our business. And so what I'd love for you to just kind of share with us is, I was doing a little research before and it was like bedroom joyologist to business coach and mentor, which is kind of an interesting, I feel like there's a story there. So I'd love for you to share with us and the listeners maybe how you either got started or kind of the path that you took to get from that place to where you are right now.
Yeah. I mean, there's many stories in there, but I'll trust the guidance that comes through on what wants to be shared today. So yes, I am formally known as the bedroom joyologist.
Love it.
Just over 10 years ago, I started my business doing that work, which was primarily around sexual expression. Mm-hmm. So supporting women, a lot of women that had religious backgrounds, and really getting comfortable with clarifying and being honest with their deep desires and removing any guilt and shame around those desires. And from there, really allowing their full self-expression to come through, because our sexual expression and our desires are a huge aspect of who we are. And even if we are subtly kind of dimming that, there's just a piece of the puzzle that's not coming out to play.
Exactly.
And I built a really thriving business doing that work with women from over 10 countries. And it was so beautiful. And I found at a certain point that, the connection between our sexuality, our creativity, our spirituality are so interwoven. They're all really kind of coming from the same center.
Yeah.
And because my previous biggest struggle was finding my purpose, what's my purpose? What can I do best in the world? What am I really here for? Naturally, pretty much all of my clients started asking for support in finding their purpose and expressing that in a business that really lights them up. So I think it was about 7 years ago or so, behind the scenes, I really started to transition into supporting my clients with that. Right. And because at that point, it's kind of all I wanted to talk about. I had been learning about business and marketing, online business especially, for so long prior to ever starting the bedroom joyologist, that it just felt so fun to be able to start weaving in everything together. So that's a little peek at the kind of transition. I mean, it's been a long time since then. There's been many evolutions, and I feel like I'm kind of coming full circle back around.
Yeah, well, and it does feel, at least to me, looking in, that you are now kind of at a whole new edge, if you will, a whole new level of truth and authenticity, perhaps, with your own work, and what you're bringing through now feels like it's come full circle almost, right? So it's beautiful to watch like you said, where you started, and and almost like the thread, right? The creativity, the sexuality, the expression, and the desire. And now it's leading into this whole new body of work that I know you're super excited about. And it's been so fun to kind of watch the behind the scenes of it unfolding. And so I'd love for you to maybe share with us now what this next evolution looks like. Because I know for me, as we grow and change and learn and integrate, and then grow and change and learn and integrate, like it's like constant cycle. My work has transitioned, and you bring in more parts and pieces and bits of yourself into what ultimately does feel like the fullest expression of yourself and your soul. So I'd love for you to share with us now, maybe like what is coming, like what is the thing now that really feels like it's lighting you up, and what you're most excited about.
Yeah, it's hilarious / not hilarious how, for anyone who's been doing this work for a long time, it's like we think it needs to be so much different as we grow, but really it just deepens. It's like we just keep going deeper into these core pieces. What I've been teaching for 10 years has essentially been the same. The lens, the context may be changing slightly, but it just keeps going deeper.
Yeah.
And the piece that has really been, if I'm being honest, just like breathing life into me and into my business, I've always really enjoyed my work, but after a decade, I feel more excited than I have. Even when I was doing the bedroom joyologist stuff, it's just like, I feel so alive in this work, and the context that has been so fun to play with is really introducing BDSM principles, which at the foundation is BDSM is really about consent.
Right.
And bringing those principles into business, bringing consent culture, bringing these safe practices that allow us to safely push our growth edges in a way that is sustainable. Because I don't know, I feel like you probably are on the same page, where growth is kind of one of our core values. We love growing, and for anyone who's committed to growing, it can sometimes come at the cost of our well-being, because if we're pushing those growth edges in a way that isn't consensual, isn't in a safe container, we can traumatize ourselves to a certain extent,
Right.
unintentionally and in subtle and significant ways.
Yeah.
So I'm just really finding that like the BDSM principles and the containers that they create are really all about identifying and expressing our bold desires, which I feel like that's the same in business, right? Like we have these bold, big potentially
desires. Yeah.
Big desires, big dreams, big missions.
Yeah.
And if we can pop in a win-win-win consensual container with someone that we trust, we can then learn how to surrender, unravel, pull out all the pieces that are really holding us back from that in a way that is safe and quite revolutionary, really.
Yeah, I think that's the word that comes to mind. It's like no one's doing it this way. Like there's a lot of different paths, right? And a lot of different ways. But to me, this is such a unique entry point into it, right? And I think it's such a powerful message, because you're right, there is so much vulnerability and authenticity that's required that sometimes is not, if it's not held in a safe container, it is they talk about that vulnerability hangover. It's like you give so much, and then you're not you feel so exposed, I guess, is what I'm trying to say. So I think it's really beautiful that you're putting context around, first of all, the expression of desire, and I know, for me, I've worked with traditionally mostly with women the last, 5-10 years. And so I know that as women, it's very common that we don't speak our deepest desires. right? Nor do we feel, most women don't feel like they deserve it. They don't deserve what they desire. So I think just even starting at that layer of, what do you really want? What is it you really want? And like getting the words out, it's like, that's a huge step, right? And that requires trust.
Yeah, it is edgy and it is vulnerable. And I think there's, speaking to that piece around like how challenging it can be, even just to name them and say them out loud.
Yeah.
Because we're so scared of being disappointed, right? Like we're just so scared of not being met at that desire.
Right.
And there's something to be said around increasing our personal power and resiliency and trust in knowing that our job is simply to identify honestly our honest desires, not what we should or need to. It's like our honest desires, and to name them, and knowing that no one else is obligated to meet our desires, to meet us at our desires. But if we can present and learn to really operate in this way where we present, someone can agree, they can deny,
right,
or they can request an adjustment to make it feel like a win-win-win. Right. And when we realize that no one else is obligated, we can remove resentment, we can claim our own power and know that it doesn't have to be so crushing. Right. We don't have to put all of our eggs in one basket, so to speak, as far as like one person meeting all of our desires. It's just opening ourselves up to know that we meet our own desires, and it comes from our willingness to express them and to ask for support in containers that feel safe to us.
Right. And I love that word, willingness. I love it within the context of relationship, right? And are you willing to listen, to show up, to be vulnerable, to speak your truth? And then I also really love how there is such a correlation and a connection between the sacral chakra energy and the throat chakra energy, right? And how the opening has to be fully expressed in both, right? Yep. And can you really create, and I mean, this is like in the physical realm, like physical body, but also in the energetic body, or in the creational energy of what you want, right? Like you have to be able to clearly ask for it, like you said, in order to activate that creative energy and the life source that's available, whether you're making babies or making millions, right? It's like that all comes from the same place. And I think it's really fascinating to look at this, how they overlay.
Yeah.
I think it's really fascinating.
I really believe, and this is taking it kind of to a deeper level, in like the willingness to name them, and our own personal power and like creatrix energy. It's simply through us naming them without attachment that we start to bring that into our reality. It's not necessarily from the other person, although it certainly helps to have someone meeting us there and loving us there, or holding us there, supporting us there. But it really is in using our voice to name it, to claim it, that it starts to come in some form.
Right. Yeah. And I think that's part of why I'm always a huge fan of having people not only like, okay, get really in touch with what is the deepest desire, like what is the root of the truth that you want to create, and then getting it out, like speak it, right? So that others can help hold the intention and ultimately celebrate the manifestation of it. Because you're right, we can't get anything that we want if we're still afraid to speak our truth and share that. So I think it's so powerful. And I know you're going to be doing some really beautiful sessions around this kind of teaching, right? And I know that's something that's coming up. Maybe you could share with the listeners a little bit more about what it is that you're doing, because I just saw the photos, and the imagery is so powerful and so compelling. So I'm sure that they're going to want to find out more about what this is that you're doing.
Yeah. So I was really feeling into, what are the foundational pieces, the kind of like introductory pieces that someone could take and apply to their business to support their clients in getting better results, to support themselves and feeling like, as a facilitator, as a coach, as a guide, as a consultant, their desires and needs are being met. In addition to it just being a financial exchange for, I'm going to give you this and you're going to give me that. It's like, how can we take it beyond that monetary exchange and have it be a really beautiful, energetic exchange? And also to have a grasp of some of these submissive dominant roles, the choice that we have in what roles we're playing, how to actually agree upon what role we want to be in before we enter into an agreement with someone. And yeah, just really setting the foundations. And so it's called Edge Energetics, and it's going to be a 2-part masterclass series because there's quite a bit that I want to be sharing. They're going to be super high value, and they are happening February 12th and 15th. Beautiful. 12th to 15th. And it's going to be free.
Oh, wow. That's amazing. Okay, so we're going to want to make sure that we get the links to all of this, so that way if anyone is, inspired to be part of that conversation with you and just learn more, I think definitely we want to make sure that we share that message, because I agree. I feel like at least just having a baseline, a foundation of the conversation, I think would be really powerful in terms of just deepening their understanding of the correlation, maybe getting a little bit more brave about speaking their desires, right? And it could be what I feel like is going to be a huge part of it. And I'm sure this is already, in your back pocket somewhere, but it's going to be fascinating to see the people that go through that class with you, how not only it impacts their business, but also the bedroom, right? Like, what is going to be the correlation of, wow, what if I am a little braver in speaking my truth? What if I am a little more vulnerable in asking for what I want? I mean, I think that's going to be a very interesting side effect, and it's going to be fascinating to hear how that unfolds in the future.
Yeah, in the last round of business BDSM, we really brought in like the CEO role and even how we can be more clear and direct in our requests with our team, our support team, with our children, with our friends, with our family members, and with our, our partners at home or in the bedroom. It impacts all of our relationships, and has a really beautiful ripple effect.
Yeah. Well, I think anytime that we stand in truth and speak our truth, whatever that may be, right? There is no greater freedom, at least for me, in relationship of any kind, being absolutely clear, like getting super, super clear and just speaking your truth. There is nothing better and more liberating, I think, than that. So I'm so excited for all of this. I can't wait to sign up. And I want to make sure that we'll get all the links to make sure that people can connect with you directly, be part of that Edge Energetics free series if they desire, and obviously follow you and watch this magic unfold as it does. Is there anything else that you'd like to share today in terms of just any other last minute tips or closing out that would be of benefit before we end our time together?
Yeah, I feel really called to just share that whether you have no idea what BDSM is, or you have like a little idea, but you're not really too sure about it, or you love it, I think you will be delightfully surprised and have your mind blown, just like my mind was blown at the integrity and the value and the impact that these principles will really have. So if the concept of BDSM kind of like confuses you or
you're scary or any of
scares
that,
you away, I'm not going to show up in a latex outfit with a whip, like I'm very chill and down to earth. And I do love having a little bit of an edge, but this is the context that I'm going to be sharing it is really through the lens of revolutionary and safe business growth. So
I love
I
it.
hope your curiosity is piqued and that you're willing to at least come play a little bit.
I love it. Well, I'm excited for you because I always know that when there is a new level of depth or a new teaching or a new direction, that's always a divine assignment, right? A divine alignment. And I always feel specifically for you what a blessing your work is in the world. And we're just so excited for all that you're creating. And it's such an honor and blessing to have you with us in the collective. You're such a beautiful contribution there with us, and we appreciate everything that you bring. So thank you for your time today. Thank you for your love and your energy and being a little edgy. I mean, we all need that, don't we? Yeah, I think we all need that. So thank you so much.
A little drop of goodness.
That's right. A little something, something, a little extra. I love it. Thank you so much, darling. You bet. Mwah. Okay, much love.